Roundtable discussion, and we have Anna Edwardson, Dr. Edna McLean, Birgit Meanley, Natalie Welcome. Natalie, welcome. And is Rob here? Okay, and so we're going to let these ladies take over. They're going to do a presentation, and we'll have time for questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome. We appreciate you coming, and we're excited to share a little bit about what we have been doing. Illescapamig College, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, is a two-year tribal college in Barrow. And we serve approximately 1,600 students a year. And so before we go further, I thought we'd do the introductions, and we'll start with Anna.
Hi, Ubaga Anna Alaf Edwardson, Udnamig Mute, Akwaga George Edwardson, Akwaga Debbie Edwardson. Hi, I'm Anna Edwardson. I'm from Barrow. My parents are George and Debbie Edwardson. And I'm the coordinator for the INUPAC Studies Department with the college.
I'm her aunt. I'm Edna Alaf McLean, and I'm instructing at Illescapamig College on EU background, online.
Kayana? That's the only Inupiaq word that I know. And I'm working on it. My name is Natalie Welcome. I'm the distance education coordinator, and I teach an online math class at the college, at Illescapamig College.
Like I said, my name is Birgit Meanley. I'm the Dean of Instruction, and I've been with the college for 8 years now. So I will start us off. Just a general overview, I think, in our presentation, and we'll have breaks in between to ask for questions or ideas, concerns that you have. But we were going to focus on these 5 main points. I'll give a very brief overview of, inside some examples of indigenous populations as producers of technology. We'll give some practical demonstrations on teaching using the technology. As a college, just like any other, I think, post-secondary institution, particularly for native populations, we're working very diligently to indigenize the curriculum, and we'll share a little bit of what we have done. And keep in mind, we're a small college, so these are small steps. Next, we're going to show you some examples of Illescapamig staff and students as producers of technology. And then last, a couple examples of the community, specifically the community of the North Slope as a producer of technology. So the first item I wanted to share, just a couple, 4 to be specific. One is the College of Menominee Nation. We're actually in a grant with partnering with 4 other grants and 4 other institutions, and the College of Menominee Nations is one of them. There are about 8,000 tribal members, and they, just like on the North Slope, just like everywhere else, are struggling for the language to survive, to be passed on. And they created their own online language program to revitalize the language. And what they have done just recently, so they've done this for a couple of years, and they have certified 15 people, which may not seem like a lot, but for a small college, that's quite a number of people that are now proficient enough to teach it or in communication with family and community. The other one, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, is eHumanity. Is everybody here familiar with AHEC, the American Indian Higher Education Consortium? They have funded what essentially is an online museum of artifacts, but specifically with the emphasis on Native American artifacts. So it is free, it's open to everyone. Google it when you get the chance. It's a web portal and a database. And it merges a number of collections. Smithsonian is involved, American Indian, and the Autry Southwest Museum. And again, I cited this as an example. I thought it was relevant because it was really started and promoted and is largely funded by the American Indian Higher Education Consortium. The next example is another tribal college, Navajo Technical College. They developed this Technical Center for Digital Technologies. And their purpose also is, through these technologies, to ensure cultural survival and to share their technologies with other institutions and individuals from outside their region. They offer certificates in digital manufacturing, laser scanning. They archive the history and the culture and the geography as well. Just like in Inupiaq as well, on the North Slope, they developed a Navajo translator for the smartphone. And also because they're also a remote at a remote location. They've developed, put a lot of resources into very large wireless area, so that these new technologies that are developed that they're using, that residents can access them from their home. And the last one is another partner institute for us, Sinta Gleska University in South Dakota. And you may have heard of the Lakota documentaries. And I thought that'd be worth including here because it's the first cultural documentation project that was designed and implemented here by Lakota. They videotaped, as part of this project, elders and of individual, family, community. 2/3 of these recordings are actually in Lakota. And I think as an educator, for me, what is very interesting and I think relevant is that these are really available for interaction with residents, with young people, but more so than that, to develop curriculum. This is good raw material that can be developed into curriculum in the future. So just 4 outside of Alaska examples that indigenous populations are, I think, step by step becoming more and more producers of technology rather than just being the consumer. So this said, oh, we had one more, I almost forgot, sorry. The Cherokee Nation. They actually have an immersion school that they started. And they found that it was very difficult in terms of digital technology to get font, to get thing to convert to the Cherokee language. And what they did is they found early in 2003 that Apple did have a font that accommodated the Cherokee, but more recently they had entered into a partnership with Microsoft. And that is actually the, as you see, the first Native American language that's included in the Windows 8 operating system. And there too, I think those are all small steps, but I think it's exciting to see that. So, but this said now, I think we're ready to move on, and I'd like to invite Edna and Anna to come up.
Just a little bit of background. I began teaching at Elizabeth College as an online instructor September 2012. So I was hired in August and started teaching, August 2012. I was hired in August and started teaching almost the next day. So I need Anna and Anna needs me. And that's the premise of our working relationship. So this collaboration across generations. I'm actually her great aunt because her father is my nephew. So it's really across generations. I speak Inupiaq. I have a lot of knowledge of Inupiaq, and she has expertise in all the current technologies that we can put into use together. So, and I don't think I would have started teaching online without the knowledge that Anna would be there to help me out. Because I'm that insecure still about working within the technologies that I need to know and work through to deliver a good course on Inupiaq grammar. So there's another instructor that delivers Inupiaq conversation, but I do grammar with Anna. So, and it's Anna.
Yeah, and just
We'll be taking turns.
So in the Inupiaq Studies Department, I'm the coordinator, and I'm located in Barrow, and Edna is located in Anchorage. But we've been creating these different technologies so that the students can have these technologies at home and then also in the classroom. And me and the other person in the Inupiaq Studies Department wouldn't be able to create all the resources we have without the help and the advice and the wisdom from our elders. And so it really is working together because we have the tools, like how do you put them into the technology, and our elders like Etta, Fanny, and Edna have all the knowledge that we need to put into them.
So what we wanted to do was to, for me, the next step will be for me to show you how I teach using the platform that Elizabeth College has in their premises, on their premises, and it's What I do, and before I start, I would like to say that a lot of the work that I prepare for my class, I do the night before, and all the technology I use is right in my computer. It's like using pictures from my iPhoto or other illustrations that I find from other areas. So I prepare that and also the text the night before. I go on to their line and prepare the introduction and all the points of grammar that I want to go through, and then print it out for myself as a whiteboard. So, and
Okay, so to overcome, like I mentioned, overcome the difficulties of teaching via distance, we have the instructor, Edna, in Anchorage. I'm in Barrow. And then the students are in the various villages all over the North Slope, and even across Alaska, we have students and located. So we, despite all these differences in location, we're still able to use these technologies to teach the students. And then we'll go into
right. I'm logging on, but it seems, oh, I'm not logged on yet. We have to switch these.
Sorry, we just need a
I
switch.
don't know the name of it yet. I don't have the terminology for this presentation, but I can teach it. And I'm learning as I go. So if I need to know it, then I learn it. And otherwise, it stays hidden from me. So here I'm logging on to, ignore. I'm logging on to Sea Life and, pardon me? Oh, it's not. It's catching up. Oh, gosh, okay, what's happening?
Sorry.
Oh, I just have to slide it up.
It's like the projector said, a different resolution.
Okay, here we are. I can't,
Because
work
if it's
from
on
there.
the screen here.
Oh. Do I need to get rid of that?
This,
I want to
this,
see
if
that.
she works on this.
Oh. This is the first time we've done a presentation on this. Well, my first. Yeah. These are flowers that grow in Barrow. They're fluorescent Arctic poppies. They're beautiful. I found these. I took this picture. Go ahead and move it, and I'll talk until it disappears. So these grow mainly on the around the Arctic Ocean, and there's a lot of them growing along the old ruined airfield tracks. The tracks where the airfield used to be made out of metal, and they're growing in through the holes of the metals. The metals are round, have little round things inside of them, and they're beautiful. They're all over the place in August. So if you want to see them, come to Barrow in August, towards the middle part of August.
I think we have
There's a lot of willing youth to work with this
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Collaboration across generations.
Okay, how many neighbors is taking one computer?
Well, there's a sea life I get into it. Blackboard Collaborate is what we use. And then, right, I just want to, you get on to Java. Can you hear me?
Huh?
No? Okay. I guess I can try to get Is that better?
A little bit.
A little bit better, okay. I can show you if you want me to. Camera. Nakuha. Hi. Tusan, let me see it. Can you hear? No, not yet.
There's a lot of feedback.
Good enough? Tusan, let me see. Ariga. This is my blackboard or whiteboard, and I get online to teach as an instructor. So all the materials that I prepared the night before are already on my computer. So I go in to load content here, push on that. Then I need to get onto desktop. Then I find this whiteboard that I prepared the night before, click on it, and it gets transported onto this page. But I need to move it a little bit. Stuck on this side. There we go. So this is what I prepared the night before. So this will be a short lesson with a student in Barrow. I hope he's on listening. Rob, are you there? Pardon me? Can you get Robert? Rob. Perillo. Manipin. Rob Perillo. All right, Manipin. Hi, Rob. You don't have a word for hi in any belt, so we hijacked hi. Just call me. Hi, Rob.
You want to check?
He's not responding. Okay, if Rob is not on board, then we can always pick Anna here. We'll pretend she's in Barrow.
Flip the screen.
What's
Go
that?
ahead.
Okay, so this is the greeting page, and I say that almost the same thing, but with variations in about, so they start hearing in about right from the start, and gets adjusted to the sounds. And this is like today's lesson, but when I started in August, it was very short, and we had to go through all the sound systems, but I'm not going to go into the description of my course, but how to deliver it from Anchorage, from my office in my house, to Barrow. Okay. And I use this right here to write on the page. So you can write directly on the page. And I'm explaining this while I'm waiting for Ron to come on board
We'll put it
here.
on the speaker.
Yeah. Hi, Ron. Rob?
I think I hit that talk button.
He's here. Can you hear?
No.
Oh.
Can you hear him? Oh, you can hear him, okay. That's fine. Okay, Uvalulata, Ariga Haigavin, Ukiokut 2013, Katketput Umiak Kabik, Uvlokput Ichakrat, Uvlupak Ichakrat Sur, Ariga Mani Anchorage Misidakput, Hanoi Pali Sidaksi Utkar Bigni, Rob. Ariga. Bob, sulit naman. Ariga, isabi din yung bedroom. Nakuro. Asi, akit ko siya kapin sa Bakun, chapter 12 min. akat pagkait ko bin, si ako ba, ini sa kaniyay ko. Sulit ibad, ubanin, hindi kami. I have to interject something here. This is a picture drawn by Ron Salangatan. And Ron Salangatan is in the audience. And this, I thank him very much for this. This was, he made many illustrations for the University of Alaska, and specifically for Inupiaq Productions. We've used his illustrations on Berklin's book, by first Inupiaq Dictionary, and then now for today. So, payanak ba? Subat ba ni Pinilami Rao? Si Samat Akpatut, Dabra. Wa si Samat Akpatut. Atawset Niksik Sokto. Okay. Atawset Niksik Sokto. Atawset Niksik Sokto. Dabra. Ariga, pinyo Dr. Din Rob. Payanak ba? I get patalo. Rob, I get patalo. Dabra. Ariga, payanak ba? So that's just an illustration. I try to just to show you that you can input pictures and all of the, you can do the writing on the screen, and I'm a slow typist, so the teachers, the students usually have to wait for me to type. So if you have any questions, we are happy to talk about the negatives and the positives of using this technology in teaching Inupiaq. Okay, there you are. For right now?
And well, just to give you a little bit more information about this service that we're using, it's called CLive, like Edna mentioned. But so what you're seeing here is what Edna would see in Anchorage and in Barrow or in the villages or wherever our students are. They'll see a screen, and as Edna's typing, it'll pop up on the student screen as well. And so it's like having a virtual blackboard, essentially, where you can see what the instructor is writing. And so that's how we connect with the students. Oh yeah, and normally the audio works a lot smoother. We have teleconference going on, and there's also audio capabilities in here. We just couldn't get them to work, so.
How much does this program cost? Or is it-
How much
It's actually not that expensive. I'm trying to think of the exact amount. That's Rob. We'll ask him. Hey, Rob. I know the call dropped. Hey, how much is the CLive technology? How much do we pay for a seat? Okay, we pay $6,000 a year for 20 rooms. Now, a room means that you can have up to, I think it's 50 participants from, it doesn't matter where they're from. And a room is can be used variously. In other words, a room would be one slot in time by up to 50 people.
Okay.
What we do, each instructor has their own link, so there isn't any overlay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. Hold on.
6,000 for how many rooms?
20. We have 20 rooms.
All right.
And obviously it gets cheaper as you purchase more, but like I said, we're really small. And this is the, I want to say, third year that we're using it. So we started off with 1 or 2, and then more and more instructors using it also to tutor students, not just to formally have classes, but if you want to tutor a student who's in a village, this gives you a visual component.
If somebody was looking to try to, if someone's trying to start up a program and start teaching their language, would they have to be a part of what you got going on to be able to maybe work
No.
with you guys?
No, not at all. The university, I know, is using Sea Live for various, for their sessions, other institutions. It's just you purchase the software, and then you can create your own program. This is, not in any way limited.
Yeah. I was just wondering, maybe I could talk to you later, just about maybe plugging into what you guys have, so we don't have to jump into a $6,000 investment and,
Oh, I
just to
see.
use that. 'Cause-
You actually have, as I recall, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just, we started out by having trial courses. You can have a course with, I believe it's 5 or 6 that they used to have at least, for free. So
Oh,
you can
yeah?
try it out, yeah,
Okay.
that you don't pay for.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hold on, Rob.
Thanks, Robin. Anything else, Anna?
Was there any other questions before we move off this Sea Live screen and go back to our presentation?
I had a question. I know that they talked about doing this sort of online or teleconferencing for my language, which is Tlingit, and the sound technology doesn't coordinate very well with the different sounds that we have in Tlingit. There are a lot of sounds that just, they don't come across the wires very well. Does this work fairly well for Nubia? Are there sounds that are lost or the students can't hear?
Oh, I think when I'm teaching between Barrow and Anchorage, it works very well. But between Anchorage and maybe jumping off of Barrow to Wainwright, it doesn't work as well. I had one student in the first semester, and she complained that she was always a second behind what was being taught at that instant. And I had a slide in here, but I just forgot to put it in where right now, and you can, through using these technologies, anyone from a larger city, like from a larger village, can communicate with anyone throughout the world. But in our rural area, in our small villages, there's no broadband to accommodate instant or equal. They don't have the equal opportunity, for access to learning as we do, us that live in big cities or larger villages. So every time you go to Washington, D.C., when you meet with your senator or representative or anyone in power, say that the rural areas throughout the United States need access, equal access to learning opportunities. That's one big thing that needs to be addressed.
And maybe, I was just going to add, you have to be, I think, creative to find solutions. So bandwidth is a real issue for us. So Sea Live has a video component as well, which we do not use. So what she uses for her instruction is we have a teleconference, and then we use this for the visual component. If you're in an area with higher bandwidth, this would do everything in one. That will make it work.
What other software products have you looked at for streaming these lessons? And do you record the lessons? I see when it first started, it asked if you want to record. Do you record the lessons and then compile them like the Khan Academy does? And you could, create those lessons, build them up like on content, and then you could ship the Khan Academy like out on an external hard drive to a village, because the village has high-speed access internally on the local area network. And then if the content were on that node, you could access that in real time. And then if you wanted like tutoring, you could do that as well. But is there other software systems that have been looked at for archiving it? Or like classes that people could take?
And
It
also,
goes with the next thing we're
you record it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It kind of goes with another technology tool that we're going to be showing you right after this. But we do save the whiteboards as PDFs, and then you could view them later. Right now, we don't record the audio, but that is an option with this service.
And I can add one thing to his question. We also do use the do you want to record this audio? In various ways. It's the instructor's ability to make the decision as to how they're going to use it. But for example, in some of the math classes and some of the English classes, developmental classes especially, where it would be helpful for the students to hear it again, when we instruct the class in Sea Live, we record it. And then with this program comes a third link where the student can access the recording. So all they have to do is click the recording. We make that link available on our website inside or in their classroom, their virtual classroom, their online classroom, or their online classroom piece. And they just click it. So if they miss class, then they'll click the link and it just plays exactly whatever happened in the class, even if we had the technological issues and the sound doesn't work, all of that, it just records everything that happened. But it's very helpful for the student, and generally we don't have all these hiccups It's just a smooth session, and the student who was absent or needed to leave early or whatever, they could get the same content through this program. And then what Anna is getting ready to go into is some of the other tools that you've imagined. We've also run into the need, so you'll hear about some of that.
And it's called Sea Life?
See Live, it's,
Oh, Sea Life.
Blackboard Collaborate.
C, not S-E.
Sea Life.
Oh,
I
good
saw
point.
it, C.
Yes, C.
Oh,
It comes from collaborate.
C.
Some of you may be familiar, it used to be Illuminate, and it became very popular, and Blackboard bought it out, and then they renamed it Blackboard Collaborate. And with that, the price incidentally went up significantly too. as some of you may know.
Blackboard Collaborate?
Yes, Blackboard Collaborate.
okay, so we'll move on to the next section that I'll talk about some other tools that we've been using. I wanted to share this quote with you from a student in Edna's class. It's, "The resources that are currently being used in our UNIFAC class are very helpful. The recorded sentences that are posted on my campus are available to us at any time. Also, the C Live is excellent to use when we are in a teleconference setting with the teacher. We can visually see what she is teaching us." So this kind of talks about two different things. The first thing she mentions is, I'll show you exactly what it is. It's a resource that we created so students can listen to the sentences or the vocabulary words that we're studying in class at home at their own time, so they can practice it at their own pace as many times as they need to. So we will look at, oh, and my campus, so you know, is a place where it's a website so that students have access to, directly linked to their classroom, so they can get additional material online like the syllabus or these recorded audio. Oh, we had it loaded, sorry, I'm going to have to pull it up again. But it was loaded before. So the students just go to our Illustrative website, click on the My Campus link, use their username and password.
I might add, just getting to the website is much faster here than it is in Barrow. You're looking at usually about, I want to say 3 seconds. Just switch from site to site in basic sites.
Give me just 1 moment. And I'll show you the resources we did. So they have here all the classes that they're in. I'll just take you into the Grammar 2 class and show you an example of some of these recorded flash files. So we use PowerPoint, this program called Audacity, and another program called iSpring to create interactive resources on the website that they can click and listen to at home. If it would work. It's plugged in. It's not working. Oh, there Can you hear that? Okay. So when they're at home, they can review this is an assignment where it's a conversation in UNIFAC that you would have between 3 people, UNIFAC A, UNIFAC B, and UNIFAC C.
Elisa Ratzinger Road.
There you can hear Edna talking.
Elisa Ratzinger Road.
And so if a student really needed to practice that sentence slowly, or if they need to repeat it a lot before they can understand what it is, they can sit there and practice it as many times as they can. So I'll show you how we create these. Right now. Okay, so the resources that we use are Audacity, PowerPoint, and iSpring that, like I mentioned before. You can type any of these into Google and search them, and then you'll find their website and you can download them. So if you just want to write their names down. So Audacity is an audio editor. It's free, you can find it online. And it basically, you can receive audio and then cut it up into smaller pieces. That's all you would really be using Audacity for. It sounds like it'd be a big process to edit audio, but we're using it very basically. And then the other program I mentioned was iSpring, and it converts PowerPoint documents into interactive instructional tools that we can then post on the My Campus site like you saw. And here's the process. I'll explain it to you and then I'll show it to you. It kind of sounds like it's a bit confusing, but once you see the actual process, it's very simple. So first, Dr. McLean would record the audio, and she normally does this on her iPhone and then sends the file to me. So on her part, she just has to read into her phone, emails the file to me. I use the Audacity program that I mentioned and cut it into smaller sentences. So I get one large file with the whole conversation, and then I cut it into sentences so that I can put them in as individual files on the PowerPoint. Then I import those into the PowerPoint program, apply the text to the slides, just type up the sentences that she's reading, and then use the iSpring to create it into a Flash file, which allows it to play online, like I mentioned. And then, I need to upload it to the My Campus site so the students have access to it at home or at class or whenever they need it. Because students don't always study at the times, where an instructor is available. So if a student's working on their homework at 2 a.m. and they can't email the instructor and get direct feedback, they can always refer back to that resource and listen to the sentence and get help that way. So I'll just go directly into my demonstration of how the process works. And so it looks really technical, but it's very simple. You'll just here's the whole recording I received from Edna, and it's like.
Hanapit pa sila.
So it goes on with all the sentences. I would just select one spot, make sure that's what I want,
Hanapit pa sila.
come up to File, click Export Selection, and then just save it right there as whatever you want to save it as. I've created a system of saving to, I find this way it's easier to save the files because then I can just number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the sentence information. Oh, yeah, did you?
Audacity doesn't like to save MP3 files very well.
Oh, I just saved them as a WAV file, and that works fine in the PowerPoint.
Okay. There is a way you can convert it.
Yeah, there's also online converters, which I left that step out because it was getting too technical, but Edna, she records them in an M4A form, M4A, and I convert them to MP3 and then bring them into Audacity because it doesn't like to read M4A. But that's really technical, so you could just even record it right here on the computer, which I'll show you how to do next. So once you have all the sentences cut up and saved, you, here's an example of what it looks like. You can't really see. Down here, here's an example of the files. It says like 1 ACA, 2 APA, 3, all of it, and so on. So then you see exactly how to save it. Then from there, we take it into PowerPoint. And here, I was going to have Edna show you exactly how you can also record directly onto this here. So you can either, to insert the audio, you just click Insert, click down on the audio, and you can choose it from the file. So like Kanoy Fasila, Insert, and then it will play right there.
Hanapit pa sila.
Or if you don't like doing the audio editing part and you're right there at the computer, you can directly record it into the PowerPoint. Do you want to record?
You want me to record?
Yeah. So you can also record audio right here, which we'll demonstrate.
Tell me when to start. Ariga, kuya narin si kayap si. Kuya nakpa.
Sorry, I cut it. But I know that was me. So you could just.
Ariga, kuya narin si kayap si.
I cut it off. Okay, so then you'd have that, and you would, the final step to this, to getting it to play on an online format like My Campus, is to use the iSpring that I mentioned, and it just becomes a tab up here once you've downloaded it. Click Publish, name it whatever you want, push Publish, and then it'll pop up as a Flash file that you can then upload. So, we'll go back to here. also mention that it doesn't cost a lot to use. I know you mentioned the prices earlier, but Audacity, you can download it for free, and it's very easy to use. Just select export. PowerPoint comes pre-installed on most computers, but if you have like a Mac, you might have to buy it. It's like only $109, and then iSpring is also a free download.
Nice.
So, does anyone have any questions on this portion of our presentation? If not, we'll just move right along and go into next.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I do teach math classes, developmental math classes, and I found, and I'm actually transitioning many of them into online classes. And it's very difficult. In case you haven't noticed, I am not Native American, but I do work at a tribal college, so the learning curve is tremendous. So not only am I learning about developing online classes, but I'm also learning about the culture, and I very much respect the culture, and I've learned so much, and I really appreciate a lot of what I've learned, and I think it's incredibly important for the students to be able to experience culture within the content. So my department and I, the Distance Education Department, we developed this acronym, and we call it SUCCEED. And it's a reminder for all of the things that need to be present when we're developing online math in particular. So one of the things that must be present is to supply clearly defined sections. And I could go on and on about that. But then we want to make sure that we unite culture and content, which is the bottom line here. And then I go on with creating opportunities for 24-hour support, creating opportunities to attempt and reattempt assignments, eliminating extraneous cognitive load, extending multiple opportunities for content, and defining expectations clearly. But because of what we're talking about today, and because of the importance of it, you can, of course, you notice that uniting culture and content is seriously crucial. Now, what is the reason that that's not number one? Yeah, we were looking for words that fit an acronym that would help us remember, essentially. But it really is the most important, and I think we've really kind of learned and felt that throughout this conference. So I kind of want to show you some of what we do to unite culture and content. Forgive me, it's a little bit small, but going back to the person's question earlier that was talking about what solutions can you provide for students that they can use later on after class is over, the asynchronous model, what we're doing in online classes. So when I arrived at Illisaviit College almost 2 years ago, if I want to teach the student how to solve proportions, I might just talk about money, or I might just talk about the height of a tree, even though we're in Barrow and there are no trees. So that's kind of a disconnect that we bring with us, that 70% of teachers who come from wherever. And so we want to indigenize the math content. And this is one of the ways in which I do it. This is just a small example that I clipped really quickly. We have so many more, they're growing. I just take a math problem and generally a word problem, and I go visit with Anna, or I go visit with someone else who's seasoned in the culture, and I get ideas, and they pretty much guide me, and then I make sure that the example is culturally relevant, and therefore the student can appreciate it, and then I assume that they will understand it and grasp the content much better. So let's go ahead and take a quick listen to this example. There are tons and tons of these that they have in a single course.
If Kivit can travel, let's take a look at an example. If Kivit can travel 95 miles on 2 gallons of gasoline with her new snow machine, how many miles can she travel on 6 gallons of gasoline? We recognize that we can write and solve a proportion in order to find a solution. Since we have a comparison, miles to gallons, in the beginning of the problem, as well as miles to gallons in the latter part of the problem, then we know that a proportion can help us successfully solve. Now, in a real-life classroom, I will walk the students through the rest of this example and explain all of these instances and how we resolve the solution. Essentially, x is equal to 285. Therefore, it is 285 miles in which Kibit can travel on 6 gallons of gasoline.
Okay, so of course I'm talking really fast to respect your time. I don't want to have you sit here and take a math class. But it's really helpful, and I find that when we get feedback that the students, one of the responses that they can give is that they appreciate the culture that's in the content through the videos. So that's really important to some of the work that we're doing at the college. And I must say that we wear a lot of hats. We're a small college, so we're all doing so many things. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. But this really is one of my favorite parts of my day, just being able to sit there and figure it out and then share it. Okay, and so we're continuing to indigenize content, not only math content, but just content many different ways. So we offer multiple summer camp opportunities for high school students. And this is a result of actually the fellow that was on the phone earlier. He kind of promotes and provides this summer camp opportunity for these students. This is an example of a video in which they were doing. So if we kind of go back to where I come from, then I maybe would think, oh, let's do a video about clowns. I don't know. But then we have students here that can actually offer something that's important to them. So I think the video camp is something really, really crucial to their learning environment. So here's an example of what was done in a video camp last summer. But you can see the coastline of Barrow, which is something that's important to them. These are the kids. They selected this. It's for them. It's by them. It's about them. Their names go up at the end. I think it's something that they're really proud of, and so we like to offer those opportunities for our kids on the North Slope.
And I just wanted to mention that this class is taught by Dustin Craig. He's a Native American filmmaker from Arizona. He's Northern Apache, and so he also comes from an indigenous perspective too, and so he constantly is supporting that in his classes. Just thought I would mention that too. And I think it's great for students to see themselves within media, because we have so much media out there and we're not always representing ourselves, but this was just a great way to see, students up there on the big screen. Up next, would you talk, PC? Does anyone have any questions thus far? No? Okay, we'll just keep moving along. And then we have Aglam. So not only in the classroom and not just in the classroom, we're trying to incorporate, we're not trying to just incorporate culture within the classroom, we're also trying to incorporate it within, on campus and also in the community. So this is one resource that does both. And here you go.
Just very briefly, this is our first edition of the first literary journal that Illustrated has had. Our English faculty wanted to involve students in media, but also across the disciplines. So she came up with the idea. In case you wonder, there's only 10. We're really small, so we only had 100 printed copies, but they're online as well. So I just wanted to give you an example. Various instructors gave writing assignments. Samples were collected, fiction, poetry, nonfiction, fiction, art as well from our art classes. And Anna will show you an example. We plan to publish this twice a year. We created our own website. Akalaun, by the way, is the Inupiaq word for a writing instrument. And we had student editors, and we're actually looking, they were very excited about it. And we just had, we had a vote for prize for the best piece that we were gave an award. And we're looking at creating an internship next semester in the fall to continue for the next publication. So this is the very first try, the very first attempt, and it's small, but we're very happy.
I'll just show you some examples, two of them that I just wanted to pull out. One was the effects of global warming on permafrost in our lives. The science instructor wanted to incorporate like traditional knowledge, but also to encourage students to look at the local environment and see what is going on there. So she encouraged them to write about something local, and so the students, for their final project, they wrote this paper in collaboration, Jerica Ahmet, Joe Popoff, and Doria Lambert, and they submitted to Aglaun, and now it's on the website where everyone can read it and the whole community can enjoy it. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight was the Inupiaq Sudoku. It features the Kakavik numeral system, and it's just the Sudoku translated into Inupiaq numerals. So those are just two things I wanted to. There's a bunch more great entries within Aglaun, and definitely if you can get a chance to look on it online, it's really great. It's http://aglaun.org. So, yeah, or if you just Google Aglaun, I'm sure you can find it. The other thing that I wanted to talk about on a campus-wide thing that we're doing is incorporating, every week we have a thing that we call an Inupiaq Cultural Hour to bring the culture to the staff and the students and the faculty as well, because a lot of our faculty aren't from Barrow and they don't necessarily know a lot about the culture. And so every week we dedicate an hour to bringing in guest speakers and having different activities and exposing people to the language and the culture on a weekly basis. And every week it's a different topic. This is our 8th week that it's a new program that we've been doing. We've had people talk about Kivit, the dances, and tell stories. We've had a whaling captain and his wife come in talking about the different roles. And we also have activities. You can see there's me and Jerica. We're in the Inupiaq Studies department. But I was explaining the Inupiaq numerals that we put on a clock. I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of light, but we're trying to get it all over the campus and something that everyone sees on a daily basis. And this is just a small way of doing that, but I think this is the first step in incorporating that into it. And here's some images of local artist, Larry Aiken, who came in last week and gave a talk and shared his artwork, and just kind of, it's nice to have some. And then we're also, another thing we're doing is putting signs up around the college and just making it seem like every day. And here's just an example of one of the signs on how to read the clock in Inupiaq, because some people were having trouble understanding the numerals. It's like, this means 1, this means 2, and so on and so forth. And here's some more examples of the posters and signs around campus. They're just really basic right now, but it's something that I think if we keep working at, eventually our staff and our students and faculty will know more about the culture, and therefore the faculty can incorporate it more into their classroom, like Natalie's doing such a great job of that. And so the last thing that I wanted to mention that we're doing on campus is this thing we call Inupiaq Corner. And they're a monthly publication that we create and hang up actually in the bathroom stalls. So when you're sitting there, you got something to read and learn. We just started this year too. So you're sitting there, you're actually learning. But they focus on different, like the first one it focused on like an introduction to grammar, and another one focused on the singular, dual, and plural in Inupiaq, and just different concepts that people can start becoming familiar with. And on this side, they always include what cultural activities are going on during that time of year. So,
On a community-wide level, and just briefly, we do have Rosetta Stone available now. We have it on all the college computers, and DVDs were given out, and the Inupiaq Heritage Center actually has a website, which is down at the moment, but you can sign on online. One of the things in terms of locally produced technologies, I am not Inupiaq, but I've lived in Barrow for 8 years, and it's interesting to see the Rosetta Stone program, and I know all the people, I know the settings. So there are people that we see every day in the program, in the settings that we see every day. And I think that is a really great way of using, in this case, an established program, but making it local by having local participation. But about the process, Dr. McLean was really instrumental and active participant. Do you want to share that a little bit?
This is from the perspective of someone who worked on making this product. The North Slope Borough Inupiaq History, Language, and Culture Commission funded this project in partnership with Rosetta Stone. And it's, they claim to be able to provide instruction, lessons that you experience, so that you can learn to communicate in Inupiaq. It still has to be proven on the North Slope, this just became available about a year ago. So it's been in the schools, in Usabe College, and in various offices throughout the North Slope. And people on their own are learning Inupiaq using this program, but it still has to produce fluent speakers. So this might take a couple of years or more. So, and there's 3 levels, very basic level on the first one. Second level, a little bit more complicated. And the third level is for a very fluent speaking Inupiaq experience. So, and the basic premise, I guess, I learned from this was that Rosetta Stone operates on the concept of, from my perspective as a linguist and as a teacher of language, one morpheme, one meaning. So if you have various different ways of saying something, you stick to one to make it easier for the learner to learn that word and that concept. Otherwise, if you start going all over the place, then the student tends to be confused. So it's, because you can learn the other vocabulary or another way of saying the same thing with a slight variation in the dialect later on. But once you learn the basics of communication, then you can start to increase your vocabulary. So I find that concept very reassuring. Deborah. Oh, and the Inupiaq Word Finder application is a product of the Inupiaq History, Language, and Culture Commission. It's based on the most recent Inupiaq dictionary I just completed. One person, there's an index, we call the index at the end of the dictionary. She has taken that index and produced Inupiaq Word Finder that you can use on your iPhone or your other kinds of phone, I guess other platforms. But it provides the English word, and then the Inupiaq word follows, and an explanation, used in a sentence. And I know the next step they may be considering is the little phone, the audio on there. But It's fairly large now, and it's very helpful in translating from English into Inupiaq.
Yeah, and I think it's a really great example of the community coming together and making something through IHLC, but definitely it's a resource for the whole community to use. And one thing that I just wanted to share about it, I'm actually in Edna's grammar class myself, learning Inupiaq some more. And in the class, when we don't know a word and we don't have our dictionary there, if you're doing homework, it's just so easy to look it up on your phone, your smart device. And it really is. If you really get into it, and you hear Inupiaq and then you don't know, like, you hear a sentence, you don't know one word, it's very useful. Just hear some examples of what it looks like. You can add favorites. And just in case you were wondering how to get it, you can put it on any smart device. It could be like an iPhone or an Android or an iTouch or an iPad. But here's just basically, just so you know, you just would go to your app store, like your Play Store or your iTunes App Store, search Inupiaq Word Finder, and then click install, and then it's right there on your phone for your use. So, okay, put it on PC. Anyone have any questions? Oh, did you guys need to see this stuff? Oh, okay.
Already done.
Are you working at all with ANSA on getting them to support computer sciences as an elective with app development?
Oh, sorry.
Say no, if we're working with ANSA.
Oh, we are
Not
not.
at this point. So that would be certainly something to explore.
Kind of like a suggestion.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to,
Yeah, I think that's pretty much wraps our end up. We hope you have some ideas, things that you're doing, maybe to share that we're not doing yet. I think again, I would say for us, it takes small steps, small beginnings. Initially, people get frustrated, everybody, you have to persist, you do it again, and it gets better. And we find solutions where there aren't any, let's say, mainstream programs. We try to come up with our own, and we like to think that it's worked. We try to reach the staff. Anna talked about the cultural hour. We have a weekly Rosetta Stone where we get together. We try to offer various opportunities. Does not mean everybody goes to everything, but for students as well as staff and faculty to really become aware, to become much more comfortable with the material, with the culture as they teach. And I think ultimately you have to indigenize the staff and the faculty before you indigenize the curriculum. So we try to create that path. Thank you very much.
Well, we have some time if you guys would like to ask any of our panelists any questions.
Is anything similarly being done with the Yupik language, like out of Bethel or anything? I'm not familiar with anything, but I was wondering if you do anything, like Rosetta Stone kind of projects or anything like that, to help teach.
Do you know?
do you know?
Is there anything being done in the Bethel region like the UK?
In Rosetta Stone?
Yeah.
Or something similar.
Or anything of this nature?
Well, I know some of it is available through the university, I know, but yeah, basically, yeah, digitizing Yupik, that kind of thing, for teaching as a teaching tool.
I don't know of any, but I know, I don't know if they, I don't think they ever was at a school or a word finder on iPhone or Android.
They used to have an old HyperCard program that they were using, to help teach the second language. I'm speaking from the perspective of a school district where we don't have very many local speakers that consider themselves fluent. And I know there's a lot of dialects and, word differences, but if this could be kind of broadened out to help in other languages, I think it's a starting point. And then with a local instructor, you could, change it or adapt it to your specific area.
I believe, isn't it the Northwest region, Northwest Private region that has a Rosetta Stone program?
They have two.
There are two.
They have coastal and.
Oh, okay. I'm not aware of any other region that have it.
Oh, the Rosetta Stone is, there's a Kotzebue Inupiaq version, there's a Cobalt River Valley version of Inupiaq. And then there are other versions across the Arctic for Canadian Inuktitut and Canadian Inuktitut. But I don't know of any other Well, there's one for Navajo that I know of, and then there's another one for, it's a southwestern U.S., southeastern U.S. language called Kitimachi, and that was, they used the Rosetta Stone program to revive that language. They relied on those old recordings, those cylindrical recordings to reproduce the sound, the words, the sentences, and then they brought it into the school, and the children learned to speak Kitimachi from the Rosetta Stone. And then when the elders learned about it and they started hearing their grandchildren coming home speaking the language, it was a very emotional moment for them. And it was something that they had not expected to hear. And when they started hearing their grandchildren speaking the language that they hadn't used for a very long time, then they became strong supporters of the program and started speaking the language again. So that was one success story that they told us while we were working on the Rosetta Stone. So,
What was the cost involved? I mean, obviously the Rosetta Stone is making money off some of the programs,
Oh,
but I assume there's got to be a huge cost involved in doing it initially.
well, the Northville Borough received some funding from the oil company that works up in Buda Bay, so they helped provide the cost of paying for the Rosetta Stone. And I don't know the final tally of the cost, but they gave the Northville Borough something like $350,000. So, and that was to, it would have cost less if we had just stuck with level 2, but we went all the way from level 1, level 2, and level 3. So, yeah, and we paid the highest. So, and we wanted to produce as much as we could with their technology because of the fact that they were promising communication skills in UBAP.
I can't help but think to ask, along the line of encouraging real-life practical use of the language, when you posted material on the inside of the bathroom stalls, have you gotten any creative Olympiad graffiti?
We haven't gotten any creative graffiti, but we heard a lot of good feedback from the people reading it, and they love the location, surprisingly, so.
Everybody knows that the bathrooms have postings, so, yes.
And they look forward to the new ones. They're like, so it's the new month, when are we gonna get our new that corner in there?
I've seen a license plate that read "Coo to Coo" in letters and numbers, and that means to us very tiny, and it was like a Volkswagen Bug or something.
Any other questions, comments?
Were there any tools that you guys found in your communities or in your institutions that you're at that you use to incorporate or teach or share the culture?
Well, first of all, thank you. You guys did such a fantastic job with, all of the different areas that you presented. And also the creative way that you're using new technology and trying to use the long distance distribution. And of course here at UAA, we offer Yupik language and Tlingit language, and this fall we offered Dena'ina with Marilyn Baluta. And I want to offer more languages here because a lot of our students are requesting it. Of course, we have students from all over. And so the long distance portions, the long distance delivery of that were very inspiring to me. And but it also illustrates to me, I like the partnership that you have of the younger person that's very tech savvy with the fluent speaker. So I love the way that you constructed that. That's a very good model. So thank you for that.
I was wondering, have you tried developing games for computers or the Xbox or something? Because I know that NSF had given John Wellet a grant to develop a game, as part of a language revitalization effort. And I don't know what the game turned into. I just remember it was the man they were working with, his last name was Moonin. And he was working with some people from outside game developers and linguists. But I always thought, since the amount of time I watched my son TV, that I always thought if I ever had the opportunity to make a suggestion to you guys, it would be, please develop something with gaming, because you got a hooked set of people who would sit there gaming.
Well, at the college, we haven't created any games, but definitely it's something we're thinking about, I think. And I don't know, me personally, I'm going to go back to grad school soon, and that's what I'm going to be studying. So definitely, I know there are people who are thinking about impact games and making impact video games. And the school district actually, they have an app that they're working on for the iPad that will be an impact. I don't know much about it, but it'll be with images and with impact audio. But there are definitely games being created. And there was another impact game. There was some game makers that came to
CITC.
Yeah.
CITC.
CITC. Sorry, I could not remember who it was. And they're creating an impact game as well. Just so you know, that'll be out. And it seems very exciting. We saw some graphics. It's going to be on all the major systems like Xbox, PlayStation.
And again, I think I just want to emphasize again that this is by no means without any glitches. The bandwidth plays in heavily, and it's really a constant trial and error, working, trying to find new things. But it is a real challenge, I think, when you work in an environment where you can't just place an order for relevant curriculum. You know, so everything that we take, we try to really, on some level, modify, we try to adapt it and to make it relevant. And it's a process in which I think young people like Anna are going to be instrumental as that moves forward. I really do. So we're glad to have her.
Oh, one thing too, for a suggestion, there's a whole bunch, there's some applications out there or some programs out there that are free, like Tout, where you can record like 15 seconds and then put it on your account, and the people that you have, linked with you, you guys can all access those videos, and maybe, that being a good context to, get content out there. Maybe that might be something you guys might be interested in.
Tout?
Yeah, Tout.
I have not heard of that, but I'm not the young person in this room.
I've never heard of it, but I'll definitely look into it. Thank you.
Yep.
Is it just TOUT?
Yeah.
TOUT?
Yep.
So is that like a social media sharing of?
Kind of like that. Yeah, along those lines. But it can be used for business applications or education.
That seems like it would be really useful to be able to see the way that somebody's lips are moving in order to make some of the sounds, for me anyway.
Yeah, native languages aren't really written out too well in the English language for pronunciation. It's kind of hard.
One technology tool that we have began to incorporate at the college too, but I didn't include it in the slide, is QR codes. I don't know if anyone are familiar with them, but that's also another way too. It's pretty much a little square, and if you have a smart device, you scan it, and then it'll bring up a web page. And so one way that the college has used it is on our business cards, and at the end, at the back of it, then it links to the ENIPAC values, and you can hear the ENIPAC values said, and it's on YouTube, so it plays automatically. But that's also another. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, if you look on the back of UGLAM, there's a QR code that will take you directly to the website. So there's a lot of options to just share, and especially with the internet, you can get a lot of things. I thought about putting it on the ENIPAC corner, but I'm not sure how strange that would be in the bathroom hearing a bunch of things coming out of your phone. So we'll see how that goes.
I have a quick question. You mentioned a bit earlier about indigenizing content. If you had seen any examples where of indigenizing the technology itself, different the values of the community is affecting the kinds of tools, the way they're used, because I noticed that that interaction, the interface between the community and the technology.
Well, we haven't gone into that. I think that's an important thing that we will be doing in the future, but we're still on using other technologies because we don't have the resources to create those technologies quite yet, but I think that's something we should definitely be looking to. But that I know of. one thing that we wanted to do, which doesn't exactly speak to that, but it kind of is putting the culture into the tools, is on My Campus you can change the language, and we talked about putting like INUPAF instead of like login, figure out an INUPAF way to say login and return to home, you know, those basic buttons like you can do on Facebook. So that's one option. It's not exactly making the technology reflect the culture, but it's starting to get it in there.
And also maybe to mention the Newport Heritage Center has a website, and they've really got a database that they're constantly expanding. One of the things that's on there is the Rosetta Stone, to make it available to the community and to really get more use of it, rather than having you know, a limited resource that's maybe only for educators, but to get it out there.
Code scanner.
Very good. Well, I'd just like to echo Maria's thoughts and thank you guys for that wonderful presentation. It's very, it's amazing all the things that you guys are doing. And with that, I guess, big round of applause for you. The next session starts in here at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Oh, do you? Yeah.